Well, hello everybody. We have a fun one today. I want to discuss one of my favorite topics, one of my favorite pastimes, movie watching and TV watching, So let's talk about sailing. Outstanding pastime that we all love, and probably while you're here, how much you love sailing and even virtual sailing. So let's talk about what movies are out there, in particular sailing movies. Not so much, battleship type of movies. It's not. There's plenty of ship movies I love to talk about. I love those too, but particularly sailing movies. And when we think of sailing movies, normally we think of the the most popular stuff that's come out. I want to talk to you about some of the old black and white ones and some other color ones that are maybe quite a bit older that you may not even know about. But typically we think about the new stuff that's come out, like Pirates of the Caribbean, and there's been numerous movies made. I don't know, 4 or 5 of them. With the first one being fantastic and even the others being somewhat good, but they're also, talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, there is a ton of old-time 1930s, 1940s swashbuckler movies, with Errol Flynn and the Black Swan. There's just so many of them that I'm not even going to be going into those so much. But those, maybe that'd be a good topic for another time. Those swashbuckler movies. I love those. I have quite a few of those. Enjoy those immensely. But I want to talk to you about some of the great sailing movies out there. Without a doubt, Masters and Commanders. Masters and Commanders is a fantastic sailing movie. Old wooden ship, tall ship, and set now and produced in modern day for all the wonderful graphics and sound effects and all the stuff that we enjoy today. So Masters and Commanders is a fabulous movie. But I want to reach back in time a little bit, talk to you about some movies that you may not be aware of. And let's start. I want to start with my favorite. This is one of my all-time favorite movies of all movies. It's an old black and white movie, Captain's Courageous. Now, if you have never heard of this, if you've heard of it, you know what I'm talking about. If you've never heard of it and you love sailing, this is a must-see. You're going to watch this movie, if you watch it for the first time, and you're going to be asking yourself, why have I not known about this movie? It's a fantastic sailing movie. It's a movie about a young boy. It's kind of a coming-of-age type movie, but it's about a young boy who lost his mother, but he's grown up in a extremely wealthy household where his father is trying to be dad and mom, and kind of compensates by spoiling the boy into an enormous brat. And just when you think this, how can this brat be any worse? Salt, ships, and sea are going to whip this boy into shape in an unexpected turn in the movie, and it's fantastic. It has some of the great old actors of age that are long gone and forgotten. Mickey Rooney, John Carradine, Lionel Barrymore, Spencer Tracy. These are the greats from the old black and white days, and it's a fantastic cast, a fantastic movie, and there's so much beautiful sailing in that movie. You gotta see it. You just gotta see it. One of my top favorites, and it's a good heartwarming movie too as well. Damned and Defiant. That's what Alex Guinness. I think, isn't Alex Guinness the Star Wars guy? Fabulous movie, and that's a great sailing movie too. I think maybe most of you are aware of it, and maybe some of you are aware of it and just hadn't seen it, or you hadn't seen it in a while. Worthwhile rewatch for sure. Damned if Fine, great movie. A movie that maybe you guys had not seen that you may want to see is Seawolf. This is Jack London's Seawolf, the Loup de Mer, the Wolf of the Sea. It's a good movie. I don't know if I should say it's a great movie. There's elements in it that are difficult. It's not a heartwarming story. It's a kind of it's more of a drama type of movie. It may not be for everybody, but and I'm not even sure I'm trying to remember. I think there's a sailing ship and a steamship, so between the two of them, if I remember right. But it's one that, if you hadn't seen, you may want to consider. Before I go on to some other movies, let's talk a little bit about what I'm doing here. I'm sailing the Partridge, an old wooden ship. If you've seen some of my other videos, this is a payware ship for Sailaway 3, and I'm enjoying Sailaway 3. I can't tell you, I told you in the last video how much I'm enjoying this Sailaway 3 program. It is fantastic. I mean, the more I'm in it, and I've been in it a lot, I wish I looked at the hours, how many hours, over, I think 100 hours or more now of Sailaway 3, and it's a good program, and this is a payware ship. Fabulous ship. I'm just loving it. It's great. And what I did was I'm sailing in Nova Scotia, Canada, and what I did was I sailed out of Peggy's Cove, out of Nova Scotia, up into the Grand Banks. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and get the map out. Stretch out the map here. This is Halifax here. Halifax, the big city, probably the biggest city in Nova Scotia, I think. There's Nova Scotia. And so Halifax is here. I'm going to go ahead, and once I get wind down far enough where I can come back in, I'm going to go visit Halifax. But my point of origin was Peggy's Cove. And Peggy's Cove is over this way. And you can see it right here. At Peggy Cove, there's a point with a lighthouse, which I started out. If you remember, if you go back and look at a previous video, I started out at Peggy's Cove, and I'm going to eventually, after I visit Halifax, go back to Peggy's Cove and return to that spot. That's my plan. I did not cheat at all. In other words, I did not teleport. I sailed from Peggy's Cove out to the Grand Banks, which is all the way out past Nova Scotia, Newfoundland, I think, and Grand Banks is all the way out here. So I sailed all the way out here. It took me, many days. I wasn't trying to, just go out there and go back. I'm sure you can do it in a few days, but it's been a week or two with me, sailing a couple there's a couple boats. Yeah, I have 3 boats now, and I've been spending time sailing this boat, and then I've been doing a cruise down in the Caribbean Islands with the 38-footer. And but I did make it out to Grand Banks, hung out there for a day or two, and then I'm making my way back into Nova Scotia. So it's quite a sail, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to head into Halifax here pretty shortly, and then head back to Peggy's Cove. And that's what I'm doing. And it's I got real weather, real time, everything going right now. And so this is a program I'm just enjoying immensely. It's fabulous. And doing a lot of good cruising with it. We're doing a lot of good cruising in the Caribbean with the 38-foot sailing moderate sailing boat. So beautiful sail. Lots of fun, and as I'm sailing this old-time wooden ship, and I'm sorry. It's just it's just beautiful. And I was thinking about, what's some of the movies? Why don't I talk about these movies I love? So yeah, the last one was Seawolf, Jack London's. If you hadn't seen it, you may like it. It's not for everybody. I think the first time I saw it, I was crazy about it, and then after a rewatch or so, I thought, well, it's kind of sad. But it's a worthwhile if you hadn't seen it. Riddle of the Sands. This movie is with Michael York. All these movies, I'm telling you, they go back some years. Riddle of the Sands, I don't know if it goes back to maybe the 80s, 1970s or 1980s with Michael York when it was put out. But Seawolf, Jack London's Seawolf. I didn't think about. I bet you that one came out in the 90s. So there may be a couple different Seawolves out there, and there may be other movies under the name of Seawolf that are referring to U-boats or something. But this is a sailing movie, and it's a story that kind of reminds me of the Moby Dick story. You have a captain that's quite crazy. Or obsessed with something, and I think if I remember, he's obsessed with his brother, and his brother's got a steamship and he's got a sailing ship, or the other way around. But there's a bit there. Now, Riddle of the Sands with Michael York, that's a pre-war movie. When I say pre-war, we're talking about the war of all wars, World War II. World War One was supposed to be the Great War, because there was never anything like it before in history, where the whole world was kind of on fire. But World War Two, was I can't imagine another war of that caliber where everybody gets into it. I don't know that we could survive it. There's been nonstop wars, but this is a pre-war movie known as Riddle of the Sands, and it's a small sailing yacht that this guys are out there kind of exploring I think just the islands up there north of the UK and Scotland and all that, and they make a discovery that has war implications, and it's a worthwhile sailing movie for sure. And so it's just one I thought of that you may like if you hadn't heard of it and hadn't seen it. Riddle of the Sands. Go find it. Go watch it. Then I want to get down to one of my all-time favorite sailing movies is Horatio Hornblower, and I don't remember the name of it. Maybe it's Horatio Hornblower, but it's with Gregory Peck. It's a fabulous movie. If you want to see that one, it may be one of the first movies. All the movies I mentioned, Horatio Hornblower goes back in my life before. Not that it's the first movie that came out of the list, but it's the first movie I saw as a young man before seeing these others. That goes back in my personal history of loving of sailing ships and movies, and it's those great war times of I don't know, maybe you should never talk about war being great, but those times of ships at sea in the late 1800s, Britain and France and Spain and all those guys being at odds with each other, and alliances being made. And if you're from any of those countries, I'm an American, but if you're from any of those countries now, you look back in history and how much you're at odds with each other and how many times you made alliances. It depends on what time of what era of life you're in, you were born into. But great movie with Gregory Peck. But I save probably my favorite for last. Absolutely a must-see if you love this kind of movies and sailing ships, the Horatio Hornblower series. The Horatio Hornblower series with Ian Gifford was put out, I think, in the 1990s by Art and Entertainment. I thought it was put out by BBC, but it's actually put out by Art and Entertainment. Well, but you can buy this series. It's a mini series, but don't be fooled. It's a mini series, but I got to tell you, each, I think 6 parts or 8 parts. I forgot. At least six parts of this mini series, and I think they added 2 more. I'm sorry I didn't go look at that, but each part is a movie length, so it's like 6 to 8 movies. Every one of them fantastic, and I think most of you are aware of those because they're quite modern. And I say modern in the fact they're not going back to the 30s and 1930s, 40s, or 50s. These are 1990s when this was put out. But this is all about sailing ships, about Horatio Hornblower, the same Horatio Hornblower that was portrayed with Gregory Peck in that movie, that old-time movie. But this is, it's definitely a worth see. One of the probably, I shouldn't say unknown, but overlooked series. So definitely, if it's been a while since you see it, you may want to watch it again. It's been a year or two, maybe more, since I've watched it. I think I'm about ready to watch it again over this Christmas break, because it's fabulous, and it's a rewatch type of thing too. I've seen this series 2 or 3 times, and I'm ready to go and watch it again. I just enjoy it that much. So those are some of the movies. There are so many sailing ship movies out there. I'm sure you guys are thinking some others and just kind of biting at the bit to say, hey, how did you forget that? I just wanted to put out a few that I was thinking of for you guys to take a look at if you hadn't seen before, or maybe rewatch. But as we enter into our hobby of love of sailing and even virtual sailing, some of those things that get us in the mood, like TV and movies. Well, see what you think. What's your response to some of the movies I mentioned, and what's some movies you love? Put in the comments below for sure. Some of your favorites that maybe I hadn't seen, that would be certainly worthwhile to go watch. And so that's what I had for you today as I make my way into Halifax. So I'm just enjoying this Sailaway 3 and enjoying my old wooden ship, the Partridge, and enjoying the wind, the sea, and the waves for sure. So we'll catch you next time, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and until we meet again.